Natasha Lopez.
Welcome back to the Company of the Cat. Hi. Long time no see, and I thought it would be fun to talk about something that I am really not invested in. But I find the writing of it very peculiar and the conversation around it in the fandom is very, very active. Is Tyrion a Targaryen or not? If he is it bad writing or not? If he isn't, is it just a red herring or not? In general, what is going on here? I will also give my opinion about the twins being Targaryens in another video. Because unlike in Tyrion's situation, I really don't vibe with these theories. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe. Tyrion Lannister is a main character in the A Song of Ice and Fire novels, the younger brother of Jaime and Cersei Lannister, and the third child of Joanna and Tywin Lannister. Or is he? The Tyrion Targaryen theory is a popular one within the fandom. This theory suggests that Tyrion Lannister is not the biological son of Tywin, but rather the child of Joanna, Tywin's wife, and King Aerys II Targaryen. Our fandom has a reputation for wacky identity theories for good reason, let's be honest with ourselves. But this one actually has some basis. Tywin Lannister's deep-seated hatred for Tyrion goes beyond Tyrion being a dwarf. Tywin's repeated statements like "you're no son of mine" and "I cannot prove you are not mine" hint at something more profound than just bitterness. Tywin himself is not sure. The possibility is always on his mind, so we can guess that technically it is possible, so maybe something happened that made this idea possible to him. You ask that? You who killed your mother to come into the world? You are an ill-made, devious, disobedient, spiteful little creature full of envy, lust and low cunning. Men's laws give you the right to bear my name and display my colors, since I cannot prove that you are not mine. To teach me humility the gods have condemned me to watch you waddle about, wearing that proud lion that was my father's sigil and his father's before him. But neither gods nor men shall ever compel me to let you turn Casterly Rock into your whorehouse. It is also known that King Aerys had an interest in Joanna. Aerys made inappropriate comments about her all the time, and there are rumors that Aerys may have raped Joanna at some point as well. Sadly, the marriage between Aerys II Targaryen and his sister Aela was not a happy one. Though she turned a blind eye to most of the king's infidelities, the queen did not approve of his turning my ladies into his whores. Joanna Lannister was not the first lady to be dismissed abruptly from her grace's service, nor was the last. At the great anniversary tourney of 272 AC, held to commemorate Aerys' 10th year upon the Iron Throne, Joanna Lannister brought her 6-year-old twins, Jaime and Cersei, from Casterly Rock to present before the court. The king, very much in his caps, asked her if giving suck to them had ruined her breasts, which were so high and proud. The question greatly amused Lord Tywin's rivals, who were always pleased to see the hand slighted or made mock of, but Lady Joanna was humiliated. Tywin Lannister attempted to return his chain of office the next morning, but the king refused to accept his resignation. Aerys II could of course have dismissed Tywin Lannister at any time and named his own man as Hand of the King, but instead, for whatever reason, the king chose to keep his boyhood friend close by him, labouring on his behalf, even as he began to undermine him in ways both great and small. Courtiers hoping for advancement soon learned that the quickest way to catch the king's eye was by making mock of his solemn, humorless hand, yet throughout all this, Tywin Lannister suffered in silence. In 273 AC, however, Lady Joanna was taken to childbed once again at Casterly Rock, where she died delivering Lord Tywin's second son. Tyrion, as the babe was named, was a malformed dwarfish babe, born with stunted legs, an oversized head and mismatched demonic eyes. Some reports also suggest he had a tail, which was lopped off at his lord's father's command. Lord Tywin's Doom, the small folk called his ill-made creature, and Lord Tywin's Bane. Upon hearing of his birth, King Aerys infamously said, "The gods cannot abide such arrogance. They have plucked a fair flower from his hand and give him a monster in her place, to teach him some humility at last." Tyrion also has a fascination with dragons, has expressed a deep desire to see them and knows a lot of things about them. Even the first important stuff we get to know about dragons comes from Tyrion's chapters. Tyrion had a morbid fascination with dragons. When he had first come to King's Landing for his sister's wedding to Robert Baratheon, he had made a point to seek out the dragons that had hung on the walls of Targaryen throne room. King Robert had replaced them with banners and tapestries, but Tyrion has persisted until he found his skull in the dank cellar where they had been stored. He had expected to find them impressive, perhaps even frightening. He had not thought to find them beautiful, yet they were. As black as onyx, polished smooth, so the bones seemed to simmer in the light of his torch. They liked the fire, he sensed. He thrust the torch into the mouth of one of the largest skulls, and made the shadows leap and dance on the wall behind him. The teeth were long, curving knives of black diamond. The flame of the torch was nothing to them, they had bathed in the heat of far greater fires. When he had moved away, Tyrion could have sworn that the beast's empty eye socket had watched him go. He also had dreams about dragons, when younger. "What are you reading about?" he asked. "Dragons," Tyrion told him. "What good is that? There are no more dragons," the boy said with his certainty of youth. "So they say," Tyrion replied. "Sad, isn't it? When I was your age, I used to dream of having a dragon of my own." "You did?" the boy said suspiciously. Perhaps he thought Tyrion was making fun of him. "Oh yes, even a stunted, twisted, ugly little boy can look down over the world when he's seated on a dragon's back." Tyrion pushed the bearskin aside and climbed to his feet. "I used to start fire in the bowels of Casterly Rock and stare at the flames for hours, pretending they were dragon fire. Sometimes I imagined my father burning, at other times my sister." Jon Snow was staring at him, a look equal parts horror and fascination. "Don't look at me that way, bastard. I know your secret. You've dreamt the same kind of dreams." "No," Jon Snow said, horrified. "I wouldn't." "Most men," the boy said, "but not you." "No," Tyrion admitted, "not me. I seldom even dream of dragons anymore. There are no dragons." When he was still a lonely child in the depths of Casterly Rock, he oft rode dragons through the nights, pretending he was some lost Targaryen princeling or a Valyrian dragon lord, soaring high over fields and mountains. Once when his uncle asked him what a gift he wanted for his name day, he begged them for a dragon. It wouldn't need to be a big one, it could be little, like I am. His uncle Geryon thought that was the funniest thing he had ever heard, but his uncle Tyget said, "The last dragon died a century ago, lad." That had seemed so monstrously unfair, that the boy had cried himself to sleep that night. Of course, his appearance is also a big question mark. He has mismatched eyes of green and black, his thin hair is fair and flaxen, so blonde it can appear white, a common Targaryen trait, and not the golden sunny Lannister blonde. He also has some strand of black hair as well. Streaked hair is something we have seen before in people like Valar and Elena Targaryen and Geralt Dane. And lastly, in A Dance with Dragons, we see Tyrion having the alias Hugor Hill and posing as a bastard from the Westerlands, which could also be a hint about his status as a bastard. "In Pentos, I am Yolo," he said quickly to make what amends he could, "but my mother named me Hugor Hill." "Are you a little king or a little bastard?" asked Haldon. The clues are there, they exist, and that is something that, unlike in other identity theories, supporters and non-supporters agree with. The disagreement starts with why or why not these clues make the story bad. People in support of this theory tend to like the drama and conflama of this revelation and also make all these parts about Tyrion, his appearance and his dreams, not just a red herring, but an actual narrative tool. The theory adds another layer of complexity to the story and to Tyrion's character. It would explain Tywin's intense hatred and the unique traits and abilities Tyrion possesses. Discovering that Tyrion is a Targaryen would have significant implications for the plot, and potentially uniting or dividing key characters in unexpected ways. And lastly, something that I don't necessarily agree with, people are set on the fact that it fits Martin's style. George has a reputation that is not exactly true, but he is known for his intricate plotting and hidden truths that slowly get revealed, and this theory fits this style of storytelling, where lineage and bloodlines play crucial roles. On the other side, people who don't like this theory focus mostly on the implications of the characters and the dynamic of the family. Making Tyrion a Targaryen undermines the established dynamics within the Lannister family, particularly Tywin's relationship with Tyrion. Tywin's hatred, being solely based on Tyrion's birth condition and Joanna's death, adds more emotional weight to their interactions. By making him marry his son, it can look like Tywin's was justified. It is too predictable also, a cliché, as the hidden prince trope is common in fantasy literature, and we have other people in the story filling this role. Maybe not in a traditional way, but we do have characters that kinda fit the bill. People believe Martin might avoid such a straightforward reveal to maintain originality. And while there are hints and symbolic gestures that people cannot deny, there is no conclusive proof within the text that Tyrion is a Targaryen. Also, making him a Targaryen could potentially overshadow his accomplishments and struggles, which he has faced and overcome as a Lannister. It could be seen as reducing the impact of his character's journey. But for sure the most important conversation is the relationship with Tywin. It is by far the most brought up reason as to why Tyrion Targaryen is not the way to go. And this is where I'm gonna add my 2 cents. I am all for taking into consideration the story and the narrative when theories are discussed, I also have some very unorthodox and plain the fuck theories, so I tried to both base them on the text as well as explain why they make sense narratively wise. But regarding this theory, I think people really look at the story in a very one-sided way. People tend to stay on the it justifies Tywin's nastiness, it makes the dynamic very different, and even though it is kinda true, I think it's also overly simplified. Tywin's deep-seated resentment towards Tyrion stems from the fact that Joanna, Tywin's beloved wife, died giving birth to him. He rationally blamed Tyrion for her death, viewing him as the cause of his greatest personal loss. To him, Tyrion is the embodiment, the physical reminder that Joanna died because of a kid who might not be his, who will bring shame to the family because of his appearance, and who might have been conceived through the assault of the woman he loved. Tywin's disdain toward Tyrion straight up blinds him. He initially underestimates Tyrion's capabilities and sees him as a liability rather than an asset. He completely failed to recognize Tyrion's true potential and intellect because, according to him, Tyrion marred the perfect Lannister facade. Despite Tywin's hatred, Tyrion is the child who most closely mirrors Tywin in terms of intelligence and strategic thinking. Tyrion is highly perceptive, bookish, and capable of political maneuvering. Cersei is ambitious and cunning, yes, but lacks the foresight and patience required for effective rule. Her impulsiveness, vanity, and often short-sighted decisions frequently lead to more harm than good. And while Jaime is a skilled warrior, he is also not the sharpest tool in the shed. Straight up, many of his decisions are not the type of thinking Tywin values. Tyrion's loyalty to his family at times, despite their mistreatment of him, and his ability to think ahead make him a valuable asset, and if his appearance was different, Tywin would have been proud of him, even if Joanna didn't survive the birth. He successfully manages the defenses of King's Landing during the Battle of the Blackwater, and proves himself to be quite an effective hand of the king. The irony is that Tyrion, the child Tywin despises most, is the one who truly embodies Tywin's mind and leadership qualities. Tyrion's keen intellect and pragmatic approach makes him a far more capable leader than his siblings. Tyrion, though unloved, consistently proves his worth. Martin often explores themes of family, legacy, and the nature of power. Tywin's inability to recognize Tyrion's true value adds depth to the narrative, highlighting the tragic irony that the child most capable of continuing Tywin's legacy is the one he hates, neglects, and mistreats. These things, of course, stand if Tyrion is Tywin's son. I understand completely why someone would want the family dynamics to remain like that, and I can easily see it remaining like this. That being said, Tyrion Targaryen, while shifting the dynamics, does not invalidate all the previous points like many times I have seen people argue. This is why I also can see it going that way. The potential revelation that Tyrion is a Targaryen not only doesn't justify Tywin's behavior, but it also deepens the irony of the relationship and the narrative. Tywin's hatred for Tyrion is rooted in deep personal trauma and social prejudice. He resents Tyrion for Joanna's death and for being a dwarf, which he sees as a stain, but even if Tyrion were revealed to be a Targaryen, these reasons for Tywin's hatred wouldn't be justified. His cruelty towards Tyrion is a reflection of his own inability to deal with grief and his obsession with family image. Tywin's mistreatment of Tyrion is not based on any concrete knowledge about his parentage. It is an expression of his inability to accept anything that deviates from his vision of perfection. Tyrion's potential Targaryen blood adds layer to the nature versus nurture debate, something heavily commented on in the books. Despite potentially being a Targaryen, Tyrion's upbringing and experiences shaped him into the person he now is, and Tywin was a part of these experiences, not Daenerys. Tywin was incompetent as a father because of his own decisions, and this is something easily spotted on Jaime and Cersei. He failed all his children, and the children he had hoped for and pushed to achieve everything he wanted for their family have brought much more shame than Tyrion, and for sure will bring even more. Jaime's lack of political ambition and Cersei's ambition and cunning, which are undermined by her impulsiveness, vanity, and lack of foresight, along with the incest, are the result of his incompetence as a father. He failed his natural children, while Tyrion, even if he's not his blood child and despite being mistreated, possesses an intellect and mind that lie way closer with his. The irony of that is palpable. It lies in Tywin's inability to recognize Tyrion as his most capable and true heir in terms of intellect and leadership qualities. This blindness highlights Tywin's flaws and prejudices. If Tyrion is indeed a Targaryen, it emphasized the theme that true legacy is not solely about blood, but about the qualities and actions of individuals. Tywin's fixation on appearances leads him to overlook the real potential within his family. The tragic irony is that he, who prided himself on his strategic mind and control, failed to see the value in Tyrion, who, regardless of his parentage, could have been his greatest ally and legacy bearer. Tyrion being Tywin's fits amazingly within the narrative structure and thematic elements of ASoIaF. It amplifies Tywin's nastiness through personal and societal prejudices, while also emphasizes the irony and tragedy of his failure to see Tyrion as his true heir in terms of intellect and capability. This dynamic is fantastic. It adds richness to their character and highlights the complexities of family relationships, and the often blind pursuit of legacy within the series. But Tyrion being a Targaryen also fits. It does not justify Tywin's cruel behavior, rather it highlights the deep irony and tragedy within the relationship. Tywin's true failure is not in raising a child who isn't his by blood, but in his inability to see beyond his own prejudices and value the true strengths of his children. Tyrion's potential Targaryen heritage highlights that true worth and legacy are defined by individual qualities and actions, not merely by bloodlines. My sappy self and I would also add that Tyrion being a Targaryen fits the themes of family, belonging, and redemption that George really plays with. Tyrion has always felt like an outsider within his own family due to his status as a dwarf and Tywin's hatred. The possibility of him being a Targaryen offers him a chance to find a place where he is valued and accepted for who he is, something he deeply longs for. Daenerys has lost her entire family, was taken advantage of by her only living relative, and often feels isolated despite her growing following and people believing in her and her cousin Essos. Finding out she has a family in Tyrion would give her a sense of belonging she has been missing. And if Jon is also a Targaryen, their interaction in A Game of Thrones takes on a whole new meaning. Jon's sense of not belonging due to being a perceived bastard of Eddard Stark, and his belief that the rest of the Stark children are dead or captive, would be lessened. Teaming up with Tyrion and Daenerys, he would find a new family that values him, something we know he longs for and even feels guilty for wanting. The potential kinship of these characters symbolizes the possibility of renewal and rebuilding. They each represent fallen houses that have the potential to rise again and bring stability and prosperity. It would work as a way of returning Tyrion to his previous self and breaking free of his toxic mindset that is front and center in the last book. The whole toxic legacy of cruelty and manipulation could be countered and could reshape these families' legacies through actions and alliances. It provides a pathway for three central characters, Tyrion, Dany, and Jon, to find a sense of family and purpose, fulfilling their personal arcs and contributing to the rebuilding of great houses with great potential to break the cycle of toxic legacies. And this is it pretty much. It is a theory and a conversation that I find very fascinating, but I also am not really invested, which is weird. I can see easily going both ways and will work and I'm fine with it. I can understand people prefer one over the other, but saying that one makes more sense than the other is something I don't really agree with. Whether Tyrion is revealed to be a Targaryen or not, both possibilities work within the narrative and the themes of A Song of Ice and Fire. As a Targaryen, Tyrion's discovery of his true heritage can unite him with Dany and Jon in powerful alliances to rebuild fallen houses and face the others, providing him with a sense of belonging and purpose. It can be a very strong tool for a better Tyrion, a strong character development. On the other hand, if he is a full Lannister, from both his parents, it emphasizes the tragic irony that the despised Tyrion, not Jaime or Cersei, truly embodies Tywin's intellect and mind. Both roads pretty much point out how true legacy is defined by personal qualities and not blood, and highlight Tyrion's potential to transform and continue the Lannister legacy, breaking free from the shadow of Tywin, which has started to poison him as well. In either scenario, Tyrion's journey works. It explores the theme of family, identity, and redemption. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video with Jaime and Cersei talk, a theory I have several issues with. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and until then, bye!